Your brain is no longer storing your life. It is treating the entire global network as its own external hard drive, fundamentally rewiring your hippocampus every single time you type into a search bar. We have just discovered that the very neural pathways you use to recall your childhood memories are being quieted down, bypassed, and replaced by the spatial maps you use to navigate web pages. You are not actually acquiring knowledge when you search. You are systematically training your biological memory to self-erase. The search bar is not just looking for facts, it is looking at you, analyzing you, and changing you. This is not about screen time, and it is not about some vague digital distraction. This is about a highly specific biological mechanism called cognitive offloading, a process where your physical brain negotiates a partnership with an external silicon database. Every single search query triggers a silent biological cost-benefit analysis deep within your prefrontal cortex. Your brain, which consumes 20% of your body's energy, is always looking for metabolic shortcuts. When you outsource your retrieval process to an instantaneous algorithm, your brain literally prunes away the synaptic connections that would have formed a long-term memory. You are trade-offing your internal cognitive architecture for external convenience, and the implications of this shift are rewriting what it means to be human. Think about the last time you were having dinner with friends and a question came up about an actor's name, a historical date, or the capital of a country. What did you do? You did not sit there and let your mind wander through the filing cabinets of your own memory. You did not give your brain the time to trace those delicate neural pathways. Instead, your hand drifted to your pocket almost automatically. You opened a browser, typed a few letters, and in less than half a second, the answer appeared on a glowing screen. You felt a wave of relief. You felt smart. But 10 minutes later, if someone asked you that same question, could you answer it without looking at your phone again? Probably not. Your brain is lazy. This is the psychological reality of what we call digital amnesia. We have become so incredibly efficient at finding information that we have lost the ability to keep it inside us. To understand the raw science of this, we have to look back to a landmark study published in the prestigious journal Science in the year 2011, conducted by the brilliant psychologist Betsy Sparrow and her colleagues at Columbia University. Sparrow designed an elegant experiment to test how our minds react when they know information is easily retrievable. She had participants type 40 memorable trivia statements into a computer. Half of the participants were told that their typed statements would be saved and stored on the computer so they could access them later. The other half were told that the information would be permanently deleted as soon as they finished typing. The results were stunning. The participants who believed the computer would save the information performed significantly worse on subsequent memory tests. They did not store the facts in their biological brains because they subconsciously realized they did not need to. But here is the real revelation. Sparrow went a step further and tested their spatial memory. She discovered that while these participants could not remember the facts, they could remember with astonishing accuracy the exact folder and file path where the information was saved on the computer. Let that sink in for a moment. Your brain did not fail to remember, it simply changed what it remembered. It stopped storing the information itself and instead stored the location of the information. We have transitioned from a species that retains knowledge to a species that retains index cards. This is what psychologists call transactive memory. Historically, humans have always used transactive memory. We used to rely on our social groups. Maybe your spouse was the one who remembered birthdays, your father was the one who knew how to fix the plumbing, and your coworker was the one who remembered the weekly sales figures. We shared the cognitive load. But that social system had inherent friction. You had to physically walk over to someone, ask them a question, and wait for an answer. That friction kept our brains active. It made us selective about what we chose to outsource. Now, look at your smartphone. It is a transactive memory partner that is always awake, knows everything, and answers instantly with zero social friction. It is a behavioral modification machine designed by some of the most sophisticated software engineers on the planet, and they have made the retrieval of information so effortless that your brain has decided to outsource almost everything. Your phone is not just an external tool, it is a cognitive parasite that you are willingly feeding with your biological memories. When was the last time you sat with an unanswered question for more than 1 minute? The constant state of immediate gratification has created a profound shift in our daily cognitive lives. Before the age of search engines, when you forgot something, you experienced a state of cognitive tension. Your brain would work in the background, searching its neural networks, firing signals across synapses, trying to bridge the gap. That struggle was incredibly healthy. It was a form of mental exercise that strengthened your memory pathways. Today, we eliminate that struggle instantly. We treat every moment of forgetfulness as an emergency that must be resolved with a search query. This brings us to a terrifying cascading effect. In the year 2016, researcher Benjamin Storm and his team at the University of California, Santa Cruz published a study in the journal Memory that exposed how deep this rabbit hole actually goes. They wanted to see if using a search engine to answer questions makes us more likely to use it for subsequent questions. They divided participants into two groups. The first group was asked to answer a series of difficult trivia questions using Google. The second group had to rely solely on their own memory. Then, both groups were given a set of extremely easy, basic questions that they easily could have answered using their own knowledge. The researchers discovered that the participants who had previously used Google were significantly more likely to reach for the computer to answer the simple questions, even when they clearly knew the answers themselves. They did not even attempt to search their own minds. The act of searching had become a default cognitive reflex. This is what we call cognitive offloading cascading. The more you use a search engine, the more your brain discounts its own capabilities. You begin to doubt your own memory. You start to believe that the machine is always more reliable, more accurate, and faster than your own biology. Over time, your brain simply stops trying. The neural connections that support memory retrieval begin to atrophy from disuse. But it gets even more intense. This is not just a one-way street of you using a tool. The tool is actively using you. Every single search query you type is a digital biopsy of your soul. Think about the search box. It is perhaps the most intimate interface in human history. We tell things to that search box that we would never tell our spouses, our doctors, our therapists, or our closest friends. We search for our deepest insecurities, our secret medical symptoms, our financial anxieties, and our unspoken desires. When you type those queries, you are not just receiving an answer, you are supplying training data to a global predictive artificial intelligence. The algorithm takes your query, combines it with your location, your typing speed, your device model, and your previous browsing history, and builds a hyper-detailed psychological profile. It then uses this profile to predict your next thought. Have you ever noticed how you can start typing a highly specific, random thought into a search bar, and by the third letter, the autocomplete predicts exactly what you were going to say? It feels like magic. It feels like the machine is reading your mind. But it is not magic. It is highly advanced predictive mathematics. The algorithm has mapped the digital pathways of millions of other human brains who have walked down the exact same conceptual path you are walking now. And here is where the dopamine pathway comes in. When the search engine predicts your thoughts, and when it delivers the perfect search result in milliseconds, your brain experiences a miniature dopamine release. It is a tiny chemical reward, but your brain does not release dopamine because you learned something new. It releases dopamine because the feedback loop was closed with zero effort. The dopamine is linked to the act of finding, not the act of knowing. This is a dangerous distinction. True knowing requires synthesis, critical thinking, reflection, and integration into your existing web of knowledge. Finding, on the other hand, is just matching. When you find an answer on Google, you get the emotional satisfaction of knowing without the intellectual labor. You are mistaking accessibility for intellect. You think you are smart because the world's information is accessible, but your personal, internal cognitive reserve is actually emptier than ever. So, how do we live in this world without losing our minds? How do we balance the incredible power of the internet with the preservation of our biological intelligence? We do not need to throw away our smartphones, and we do not need to pretend search engines do not exist. We just need to establish healthy cognitive boundaries. There are 3 highly specific, actionable habits you can implement starting today to reclaim your neural independence. First, practice the 30-second retrieval rule. The next time you are trying to remember a fact, a name, a date, or a location, do not search for it immediately. Force yourself to sit with the discomfort of not knowing for at least 30 seconds. Close your eyes, try to associate the forgotten information with other things. Where were you when you first learned it? What does the name start with? This active effort, even if you fail to recall the information, stimulates your hippocampus. It keeps the neural pathways active and tells your brain that this memory is important enough to preserve. If you still cannot remember after 30 seconds, go ahead and look it up. But that brief window of struggle is what keeps your biological memory alive. Second, establish cognitive fasting zones in your daily life. Designate specific times or environments where search engines are completely off limits. For example, make the dinner table a search-free sanctuary. If a question arises during a conversation with family or friends, let it remain unanswered. Discuss it, debate it, speculate on it, and let your minds play with the uncertainty. This builds intellectual resilience. It breaks the addiction to immediate informational gratification and restores the art of speculative conversation. You will find that not knowing everything instantly actually makes life much more interesting. Third, engage in deliberate algorithmic disruption. Every few days, take control of your search profile. Go into your settings, clear your search history, or use search engines that do not track your behavioral data. More importantly, search for things that have absolutely nothing to do with your normal life. Search for ancient architectural techniques, deep-sea marine biology, or classical poetry. By feeding the predictive models random, inconsistent data, you break the algorithmic mirror. You stop the machine from easily predicting your next thought, which forces you to step outside your personalized echo chamber and encounter truly novel ideas. When you implement these changes, you will start to notice a profound shift in your internal life. You will realize that you are not just a user of a search engine, you are a biological organism co-evolving with an incredibly powerful artificial intelligence. The glowing screen in your hand will stop looking like a magic wand of endless knowledge and start looking like what it actually is, a highly complex cognitive negotiator. Every time you open that search bar, you are negotiating. You are deciding how much of your personal cognitive sovereignty you are willing to trade for convenience. When we outsource our memory, we outsource our history. We outsource our unique associations, our creative leaps, and our deep, slow-brewed insights. True creativity does not happen in a search bar. It happens when unexpected pieces of information stored deep within your own biological brain collide in a moment of quiet reflection. If those pieces of information are never stored inside you, those collisions can never occur. You are the architect of your own neural landscape. Every search query is a choice to build a pathway of dependence or a pathway of independence. The next time you feel the urge to type a question into that empty white box, take a deep breath, pause, look inward before you look outward. Let your own biological mind do the work it was evolved to do. In our next deep dive, we will reveal how the invisible spectrum of light radiating from your screens is quietly rewriting your cellular biology, disrupting your deep sleep cycles, and changing how your body ages on a genetic level. Thank you for decoding your mind with us today. Keep your brain active, keep your curiosity sharp, and never stop questioning the technology that shapes your world.